Hi everyone. Today I'm going to talk about the biggest mistakes I see companies doing when starting with automations. So usually companies which approach us as an agency for automations would say something like, hey, we need more leads. Please create some lead generation automations. So the typical newsletter thing, or create a sales process, like business to consumer sales process, this type of thing. So they are all thinking marketing and marketing automation. Marketing automation is actually very, 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 very high up in terms of when should you do it. So if you don't know your processes and what you can automate and what you can't automate, and if you didn't automate your back-end processes first, then it's very likely that marketing automation is not the place which gives you the most bang for your buck. So if you start investing into automations, I tend to, so nowadays we did marketing automations for like as our only product for years, for many years. And we also have Hotmode.io, which is a Mautic marketing automation system. So we host this and so on. So I'm very interested in marketing automations, but it's a very difficult process. And the likelihood that a company makes more money with marketing automation is at the beginning of your automation journey low. So there are plenty, like lots and lots and lots and lots of unharvested low-hanging fruits in your existing systems and workflows, which are easier to tap in and which will give you the greater return on invest, aka ROI. So this is something I'm talking about today. I created this nice thingy here. I just need to check, yes. And these are some things which are like, this is the stuff which really helps you spend less money for existing employees, for workflows, for things you first need to do before you start doing marketing automations. So marketing automations is a gamble, basically, especially nowadays. You don't really know how to build an email list, blah, 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 all this stuff. So it will take a lot of time. And it's also an ongoing process. Marketing automation will never stop, and it will cost you ongoing money, learnings, and so on, which is fine. But in general, most automations will cost you money and will need time. So you need somebody to look after the automations, like us, for example. So you can have this in-house or you can outsource it. But you must be aware of, you need somebody to look after your automations. Marketing automation is not like an end-to-end process, which you build once and then it will not change anymore. But you have lots of processes which are end-to-end. And once you've built them, they are very unlikely that you will ever touch them again. So if you are a brick and mortar business, or if you have like physical products, then this will make a lot of sense to you. So the first thing is you need to sit down and understand which processes are your employees doing day to day, which are annoying, repetitive, and cost them time. For example, connecting or like exporting. And this is so basic, but many people are doing it and many are neglecting it and don't understand or don't think about the actual cost which are involved. So this first thing here is so basic, so please take a look at it. What most people are doing is this, like you have an online shop and you get orders, and once a day or once an hour or whatever, somebody goes into the store, into your online store, logs in, exports a CSV or Excel file, gives it to a team member, or like takes it, checks the file, adjusts the columns. It's literally like this: adjusts the columns, searches for errors, and most likely there are errors already because the person who adjusts the columns introduces errors, makes a manual import into your ERP or warehousing or fulfillment system, which often is an Excel sheet. And this triggers so many. So first of all, it costs like unbelievable amount of time. So at least an hour, at least. There is almost, so, to be honest, I think there is nobody who can do this type of work under an hour if you do a solid um, number of sales. So you need at least 1 hour daily to do the manual imports. So, and then you have forgotten things, wrong things, delayed by hours. So everything what goes wrong in this import export here, and also you have like a cutoff time when you did your last export, and then it needs maybe 24 hours or on weekends, even longer until the thing goes into the fulfillment loop. So this is something, it's super basic and you can automate it quite easily, very easy actually. So if you have like not an e-commerce store, which is not from the Stone Age, you can use your API, you can use webhooks, you can somehow utilize some kind of um, um, like some kind of signal to push the new order into your ERP or fulfillment system. So this you can, there are so many tools like N8N, for example. It's so easy to create a connector nowadays between two tools which don't have a plugin or which don't interconnect automatically. So just use the APIs and use a middleware like N8N, for example, or whatever, make.com, Zapier, or build your own. I mean, Cloud Code or any other agent like Hermes and so on. It will just create you the plugin for you if you do it right. So build this connector, and it's a rule-based system. So something comes in, it's getting validated. The order lines and address, name, blah blah, gets mapped, and the status, of course, should get mapped as well, and then automatically added into your ERP, CRM, fulfillment system, whatever. So do this. This is the first thing. Every time you have like a status error or something, it should create an exception, which will then create a log or an error or even an alert via email or Telegram or whatever. So this is something you should do at first. This is the most important thing. Do this before you start working automated newsletters or something. So the benefit in the end is going to be no more manual exports and imports. It typically, yes, that's what I said before. It will take between 30 and 120 minutes saved per day and person. So if you sum this up, you save thousands a year only on this one person or two persons who would work on this. So in the end, on the long run, this will give you, this is so cheap to build, and it will give you so much money back. So this is one thing which is really, really interesting. Also, like errors become visible earlier, that means your customer success is going to be better. So your customer experience is going to be better because they see earlier, or you can tell them earlier, hey, something didn't go right. We didn't see the order, or we didn't get your address or something. So you can counteract very quickly. Okay, so this is really interesting. Then, of course, marketing automation. Why is this here? It shouldn't be here. It shouldn't be here. Let's go to the next one. So, sample orders. Sample orders is super interesting because it creates so much. It's a freebie, basically. So you can give out sample orders, and large companies are doing this since forever. So yes, do it because it's great to generate leads actually and to get your product out to people, your actual product, not like a freebie, like this terrible non like these terrible things which we used to create like the last 10-15 years long, like an ebook for which solves nothing, or a form, a quiz which solves nothing. So it's better to simply hand over like testers or something. So if you would sell, let's say you sell cream, like hand cream or soap, then take a piece of soap and let people get a tester in exchange for their address and email address. So, or phone number, then you would build your WhatsApp list and so on. So this is something which is easy to do. It's a great, so sample orders are a great way of showing your product without having somebody coming to your store. So this is actually great. And you can utilize it afterwards with different other benefits for your company, like getting reviews, for example, because if somebody actually used your product, you can ask them for an honest review. So they used the product, they know how the product works with them. So they will very likely give you a review, even though they only had like a tiny amount of what your actual product is, but they could test it, which is nice. So, okay, so before you have phone calls, letters, manual handoff. So the overhead, which why most people are not doing it nowadays anymore, is it is extremely expensive to do so. So if you have, let's say you have two full-time employees which are sitting in your warehouse, and they get the phone calls or the letters or the emails or something from like real life from the postman, then they would just they need to unpack, they need to read, they need to understand, okay, what's the shipping address, who is this person, okay, are they eligible for a new sample order, maybe they had one order already, so nobody really knows. So we have lots of abuse there. Or these freebie grabbers would just get like 10 different ones to the same address or to a post box, and so on. So you'd have all these problems. So you have a prospect, they will call you or they will somehow send a letter. Then you have a team member which records the data. Then you need to write a new letter in order to put it to fulfillment and shipping, because on the letter you would then have the address and everything. Then they need to envelope it and hand it off. And it's a terrible amount of work. So one case, let's say the person is really used to like doing this and they know all the different quirks and things where to look and how to do it very efficiently. So they do one freebie per 30 minutes, or let's say 15 if we're super, like they're extremely productive and work all day without taking breaks. Let's say 15 minutes, or let's stick here, 30 minutes for one potential customer. So this creates like gigantic overhead, really gigantic. So this is a perfect, because this is never going to change in any way. It's the same thing over and over again. And it's the perfect thing to create an automation from. So this one, you must translate this to here. So you must create a form, an online form. You can have your links to the order to the sample to the sample order online form. You can have these links everywhere. You can print them on flyers. You can have them on stands and so on. So people would just go scan the link on their phone and then put their details into the order form. So you have your prospect, which puts the details in the order form in the right how to say, yeah, in the right order and everything. So you can check already inside the form, is this correct? And is this a true address? And so on. And then you have your workflow engine, which checks for duplicates. So did this address, like the postal address, already receive one? Did this person receive one? Did this email address receive one? If yes, okay, you can send like a polite email. So, hey, we're grateful for your interest again, but our records show you had one already. So please understand that we need to, that we only give away once. We give away a freebie once. So you have less abuse. Then you have data validation, which cleans order data already for you, not the person. It can be validated inside the form or inside the workflow afterwards. And then you have the handoff. That means the person who you got the data inside the form, and then you put it into another workflow, which simply creates the handwritten or the letter with thank you for your interest, dear Mrs. or Mr. Blah blah, thank you for interest. It puts everything into the right place. So the person who is doing the fulfillment, the only thing they need to get is like they have their list with prospects, and then they click a link to print the. You can even automate the printing process, so they just get their printed thing. So what we did there with one client, they have a list now, and inside the list they get the daily new leads, which did today an order. So they have this Google Sheet list, click on the link to print the PDF. The PDF is the letter. They need to fold it, put it together with the tester into the envelope, seal the envelope, and put it into shipping. So with this, they can do 6 to 7 cases, maybe even faster. It's an approximate. So I guess they're doing 6 to 7 cases now within 30 minutes, because they only need to pull together the stuff. They get the order. They need to read the order once, because they need to see, okay, which types. So they have like, I don't know, 12 different possibilities what people can get freebies from, and each person is allowed 3. So they put together the 3 testers, put it together with the letter into the envelope. The letter is already the address. So they have these see-through box envelopes where you would see the address on your printed letter. So they fold the letter, put the freebies in, and put it into the shipping container. So by doing this, they walk through so quickly through these 40 to 50 sample orders a day. It's a great lead generation machine. Plus, it gives real value, and it is so much cheaper, because if you calculate otherwise your freebie cost or your cost of acquisition, because the freebie only maybe creates a new buyer, but the cost of acquisition went down like crazy. I don't know how much money they make with this, but it's a great thing you can automate. So if you have some types of samples, you must automate the income stream and the fulfillment as far as possible. So this will save you thousands per year again, maybe even thousands per month. It depends. So if you calculate it here, if you get 40 leads a day and you need to do 40 cases and you have 40 minutes, let's see, how much is it? 40, 40 by 30, so 1,200 minutes. Oop. I can't calculate this anymore. This would be 20 hours of work. So only to have like these 40 incoming thingies per day. The other thing is you can drive ads to the order form to get a freebie, which of course increases the amount of freebies you need to send out and so on and so forth. But it's like, if you need 20 hours to do 40 orders, it's going to be ridiculously expensive, because then pay the 20 hours, pay the person who does this, and so on. So yeah, like, and by doing this, they work like 1.5 hours or 2 hours a day. So it's quite easy to fulfill all that. Okay, so this is gold. This is real gold. This gives you thousands of euros, which you then can spend into marketing automation or whatever you want. So, or into ads, or into buying more freebies, create more freebies, and so on. Or yeah, produce more testers. Okay, then reporting. Of course, like, reporting is really like crazy. It takes so much time, and it takes time from your most expensive employees. So if your managers need to create reports by hand, it's so stupid. You're wasting their time, you're wasting their hours of work. Stop letting them create reports. Invest once into a like perfectly built reporting system. This will cost a few thousands, and then you will never pay a person who earns like 100 euros per hour for doing reports for you, because these reports are super expensive, like crazily expensive. If they do it once, twice, some people need to report every week. If they spend like 1 day of their work time for reporting, that's stupid. That's just wasting money. So don't do that. So you would have somebody who searches all the databases and blah, 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 and then puts it together. Then they get somebody else involved who needs to put it together. And so on. It's just immense waste of time and energy, and of course, money. So if you build a reporting system, you would just have like some jobs, some cron jobs or something, which run every night when the system is not busy. It fetches all the data, puts it together, and then you have your sheet, which can, of course, be like graphically blah blah, so then it looks nice, and then even people who don't understand reports think they understand reports. So yeah, anyways, I'm very sarcastic there, because a report is usually a number. So you don't need fancy blah blah, you only need the number which you care about. So this can be done quite easily, and then you have like your 5 KPIs, and that's it. So this costs a few thousand once, and it saves you hours of searching, aggregation, and analysis, which will be wrong anyways. So people do the craziest mistakes and understand this years later, that they did it wrong for years or months or weeks, or at least a few times. So fewer human errors in recurring KPI processes. As soon as somebody's tired, this type of work becomes difficult, because it's complicated thinking processes, and you should, as soon as you have a rule set for something, you should automate it. So if there are rules in finding or in doing certain types of things, you should automate it. It's like creating a calculator. A calculator, you don't need to sit there and do the calculation yourself each time. It costs you so much energy. But a calculator does exactly this rule-based system for you. It automates the calculation, which is super important. So we all have computers and we should use them as computers and not for doing visual blah blahs. So, by the way, these visuals, I don't sit there and type in underline, underline, dash, 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 blah, blah. No, 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 of course. Automation, this is built completely automated. So I write down the process and usually I just talk into my mic and record. Then I do a transcript and then I let AI create the flowcharts or these graphics because it's so useful and it's so annoying to do it. But it's amazing to do it. So now again, we have newsletter and content creation. Of course, you can do this, especially content creation would be great. We'll not talk about this now. We'll talk about the next one, which is a great thing for as a business case. And this is even more important than the order creation because we had a client who needed by law or who need by law to get a signature if they consult on some health issues. They need to get the person who got the consulting to sign that they got the consulting. Otherwise, they are lawless. I don't know how it's called. Otherwise, they would not comply with current regulations in Germany. So they need to get everybody to sign this stupid piece of paper. So they are on the compliance side of things and they can show, hey, this person got our product. Here is the signature. The person understood what they got into, blah, blah, blah. So it's healthcare. Healthcare, super crazy in Germany. And it's good. But anyways, so before they did this, it was a manual process. So they had somebody ring them and they were talking to the person like, okay, they were doing the consultancy or the consulting and they were talking about the pros, benefits, and cons and tried to get the person to understand this. And then they needed to send a letter. So it was a template, but they had this letter template and they needed to send it to the person in a printed letter, send it there and get the person to sign it and return it to them. So this was the one thing. So they had this hand printed, you need to hand sign the letter thing. So this is the one thing. It takes a long time to call somebody, talk with them, prepare the letter, envelope it, put it into the into the post box, and then the letter comes back in your inbox in physical form. You need to open it. You need to understand which case is it. You need to go to your CRM, find the case, then say, yes, we got this one. Then you need to scan it and put it somehow, attach it to the case so it's there. And then you need this original, because you scanned it, you need the original and keep it safe in some folder. So you need space and like hundreds of minutes where a human works on this case. We changed all that. We created, and even worse, if people don't sign. So how do you follow up? Do you start the whole thing again? Do you send another letter and so on? So what we did is we created an online signature thingy. It's very easy. DocuSeal, for example, is one open source system you can use. You can, of course, use Adobe Sign if you want to spend thousands on a signature program, which is unnecessary. You can just use DocuSeal, for example. And there are other open source possibilities to do that, or other open source platforms to do this too. So you have like $10 a month on this, on a VPS where this signature thing is running. And then you would send the person. So you would call the person and then send the person. So yeah, what we have. So they would call the person and then click a link in their ERP. They talk to them. So as soon as they click the link, the ERP sends a webhook to the signing program, and the webhook holds the name, the address, the date when they were talking, and yeah, that's it. I think this is the workload. It sends it there. The signing program takes it, puts all this into the template with the whole contract, and sends it to the person who just needs to sign it. And as soon as the person signs it, the signature program sends a webhook back to the ERP or to the CRM and says, person signed this, and attaches the signed PDF, which has now the contract plus the digital signature like thingy, which is proof that the person signed it at this point. If the person doesn't sign it, it creates a reminder for so so in this case it automatically creates a follow-up until the person signed, or until the person calls and says, leave me alone, I will never sign anything. Then you can just turn it off in the CRM, like stop the flow. By doing this, so they had, when we started this, they had more than 8,500 cases which they need to close somehow, but they were like, they didn't know how to do this. So we created that, we sent it out, and these 8,500 accumulated cases over the last, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 years since this came out, these accumulated cases were signed in the same day. Like 5,000 of them, or almost 5,000 of them, were signed on the same day. So this just it's just mind-blowing what you can do with automations there. So, and now nobody's sitting there. They only do the consultancy or the consulting. They call the person, say, okay, I talk to the person, send it now, or they call the person, and if they don't reach them after 3 times or something, they would just say, okay, we didn't reach the person, so another signature thing starts, and so on. So it's really interesting how you can take the workload off your workforce, especially these types of simple automations, which are end-to-end workflows. So they will never change. It's going to be the same thing. This workflow is running since more than a year now, and it does like 40, 50, 60 signatures a day. So yeah, nothing will accumulate anymore, which is just amazing. Yeah, and it costs a few minutes a month or every other month to update the system, to keep the system secure and so on. So we do this for them to keep the VPS secure, to keep the programs up to date, to see if there are errors. Sometimes there are errors, or sometimes no, there are misunderstandings. If a person, for example, says, I got this email again, I don't want to sign it, I only want to sign with my pen. Yes, then we need to take a look at the logs, take a look at the case and so on. So, but this is like, that's just a few hours, which is super cheap compared to the old way. So yeah, that's just something you should think of, which type of service, like this is customer care or customer service and legal compliance, which is necessary. So you must do it anyways. So yeah, take a look. Usually you will find something where you can save like lots of money. So yeah, This is really beneficial. And then we have, of course, the support agent. So everybody who doesn't have a support agent yet, and if you have, I mean, there are two types of things. People who think they need a support agent because they think their business is so large that they absolutely need one. Like us, for example, we don't have a chat support on our website because we have so we have so few clients. We don't, I mean, they just send us an email and we see their emails. So we don't have the need of a support agent in our website. But if you have like 200, 300, or even 50 support cases a day, and you need to have somebody full-time answering them, this can get really crazy. So we have clients who do, like, I don't know, who have a support team with 10, 15, 20 agents. I mean, there are companies who have like gigantic support teams. I wish we could have companies like these where we do our support agents, or we build the support agent system behind it, but not yet. Anyways, the company, the clients we're working with, they are like smaller, like let's say between 2 people and or 2 in the support or 1 in the support, up to 15, 20 support people. And we take off their workload because people in support often have like great knowledge of the products. So they usually don't only do support, especially in smaller teams. Usually people also do support. So it's very good to take workload off their shoulders. And an AI agent connected to a support knowledge base or database is exactly this. It can answer most cases fully automatically. So fully automated, great customer support. It's like almost, it's real time. It takes a few seconds to respond, to find the case, to find the product, to find the facts, what to do, and then just answers the given question on no matter which platform, which is great. So you can centralize the knowledge and you can centralize the chats into a single platform where you would just let the bot do the things, and only in special cases you would escalate to a human agent. So in cases where people just say, I don't want to talk to a bot, give me a human, then you would escalate it. Or if things like if more complex things are there, so you can have your context and your rules in here. And this, like, yeah, it takes off like gigantic loads of work. And also you can have like round robin like fair distribution to each agent, so that not the first agent gets all the work and all the others sitting there and don't do anything. So you can distribute the agentic work fair. So the support team or the people who do the support, which most of the time are not only doing support, these people don't get pinged all the time. They can do other stuff as well. So this is something you should really take a look at. If you have a support team, which let's say gets more than 30 questions a day, take a look at something like this. It totally makes sense. And you can have it open sourced. There are great chat platforms which are doing exactly what you want. And nowadays, with APIs and everything, you can just build your ecosystem. You own it. You don't need to spend hundreds or even thousands per month on the software for all of these cases. So I mostly build stuff with open source software because it's amazing. So then, of course, HR, like internal questionnaires and things. Like if you have a team doing HR, which is like if you're bigger than 50 employees, you would need to have somebody only being there for their employees and answering their questions like, can I bring my dog to work? Blah, blah, all this stuff. So if you have this, it's very easy to create a little chat which has all these rules. And then you tell everybody, hey, you have a question? Please go to this website and use the chat, ask. And if otherwise something is really unclear, call me again. But this would be the game changer for HR, because HR shouldn't do HR support. Of course, but like in person. It's not about like, yeah, when can I bring my dog to work? Or do I get a bike? Or do we have fitness center benefits or something? All this is totally rule-based. There is only one correct answer, and a chat, an AI chat, can give you the correct answer if you build it once. So you build it once, and then you never think about it again. So this is just gold. Then you have recovery or resynchronization after errors. Of course, that's the same thing like we had in the beginning with general synchronization from, let's say, e-commerce store to ERP or something. This is basically the same thing. So if you need to recover something because some person like blew the database or whatever, then you can recover. You can build controlled reconstruction systems like version systems, for example, in Git or with version backups in order to get stuff back or have a history or an API in order to resync things that went wrong and correct your system again. So yeah, that's something you like. Many companies are wasting days. Like, I don't know, not many companies, I don't know, but some companies are wasting days recovering uh, data or problems they had before, and something went down, and then they have basically an how do I say, they have basically a disaster happening. So they need to roll out a disaster action plan and yeah, recover everything. So you can automate this, or you can have a workflow for exactly that, which is rules based again, and everything what's truly rules based is something you can automate. So insurance prescription processes. Yeah, of course. Follow up after days. Of course. This is like, that's a typical, that's almost like somebody signs up to the newsletter, then you would need to have a follow up line or a follow up workflow later, because otherwise it's just stupid. So every time somebody asks something and you don't get feedback, you should create a follow up, which gives you a lot of which frees up a lot of headspace. So yeah, now I know what was meant here. So for example, here prescriptions. If you work with prescriptions, it's very likely that you get the prescription from a client or a customer and you want to give them your product. So, but you cannot do it because you need to verify if this prescription is actually valid and if the prescription is actually going to be paid by the insurance. So you need to ask the insurance. And in many cases, this is a manual process because it was manual the last 50 years. So we still do it manually. But this is stupid nowadays. You shouldn't do this manually anymore. Most insurances have a rule-based yes or no system, which can tell you almost immediately, or if they have an API or something, it can tell you immediately. It just gives you the response, the answer to, are you paying this? This is the prescription. Do you pay this product? Yes or no? It comes back. Yes, we pay 80% of this. The rest, the client needs to pay themselves. Okay, if you have something like this going on, then you can have a workflow which does this asking process for you. You get a reply. and you get to respond to your client immediately, which is great because usually you would say in a manual process, you would say, okay, I got this prescription here. The post, uh, the post guy, the postman brought me this. So I will scan it, put it in this case, send it to the insurance, and then in my CRM, I put it on do follow up in 7 days. And possibly they already decided if they're paying or not. Very likely. So it's really bad customer care or customer service to put it on follow up in 7 days because I already know if the outcome. So you should actually do this and then simply tell the person who asks for this product yes or no, and that's it. And this can be within minutes. So it makes sense to build a rule-based processing out of a case like this. Yeah, then omnichannel support. This is what we were talking about before in the support AI agent. Of course, you should go omnichannel. It's really nice for people to just use the platform where they are usually on. Like I use Facebook Messenger, or I use WhatsApp, or I use Instagram Messenger, or whatever. Or I want to use your website chat widget. All these should funnel into the same chat system, into the same ecosystem where you would have your bot answer everything. And if the bot can't answer, if your agent can't answer, it redirects or it hands off to a human agent. So this is something you really should take a look at. Also, from this, you can build like learning. You can train your own systems, or you can ingest all the cases from the last month into your knowledge base. So then how chat behavior is, what people are asking, and so on and so forth. So this absolutely makes sense. And it takes off, again, it takes off workload from your team. Product reviews, yes, social proof. I mean, this is something strong. This connects directly to your freebies, for example. If you give away a product for free, or a tester, let's say you give away this pen for free and people are testing this pen, so you know when you sent it them. So you have your outgoing parcel package post date, and let's say you know, okay, 7 days later it will be. So if you don't track, because you don't want to spend too much money on tracking and blah blah, so you just send it with a regular letter. So you envelope this, send it, and after 7 days you can just ask the person you sent it to, hey, did you get the pen and did you use it? I guess you used it already, because I guess it should have come. If not, please let me know. I'm really eager to give you this pen in order to use it. And if you used it, could you do me a favor and give me a review here? And then you don't send them, maybe you send them to Google reviews or wherever, but in my opinion, it's way better to collect your own reviews on your own platform, because why do you want to have it on wherever out there? You want to have it in your store, because your store is going to show reviews to everybody who visits your store. So you want to have your reviews there. So if you use anything like Medusa.js or WooCommerce or Shopify, you should start collecting reviews on there. And if you send product testers, you can, of course, collect a review, not for the tester, but for the real product, because it's the real product and it's a review for the real product. So this is something, yeah, that's just like, it creates hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of real reviews for clients, for us, which is nice, because then they have the 5 stars on their own products, and real people responding to how the product is and so on. So this is social proof, and it works. It's great. It's good to have people doing this type of work yourself, because collecting reviews takes time. And of course, reviews, people usually don't respond at the first, hey, could you give me a review email? They respond at the third, second, fourth, and interesting counting. Anyways, they respond later in time. So you should at least send them 5 reminders. And if you have an automated system to send them the review reminder, or the review, like, how do you say, if you ask them initially for a review, you then can also see, did the person click the link? Did the person actually give me a review? You can, if you have an API, so usually every e-commerce store has an API. So let's say you're using WooCommerce, then you could even see, before you send the next reminder, please give me a review. Before you do that, you can even see, hey, did the person with this email address give me a review on this product already? If yes, don't send the follow-up. Just stop it. If no, send the follow-up, because the person didn't do it yet. So this is a great thing to get social proof. Yeah, nice. And so, yeah, in general, let's talk in general. Your querying pattern across all case studies, or across all things we listed here, is like before. You have the human copies data, does something with it. The human waits, checks, or reminds. The human fixes errors. And the human process depends on people, or the process depends on people, or on humans. So, and after the system detects an event, like we get a new form, or a new order, or a new click from the CRM, or whatever, then the workflow starts automated. Then we have a rule, a set of rules which get applied, like check the data, is the address correct, is the email address correct, is there a status set, yes or no, and we choose the next action based on the rules. And then we have, for example, a handoff, because the rules just understood the person wants to know something about their kidneys. So we cannot let the AI handle that. So we need to hand it off to a human agent, for example. Or we do a reminder, or we send a document, or we send a report, or create a report, or we answer something. So this is all automated. And then the human is only for exceptions, only for approvals, if the approvals are not rule-based. Because if an approval is rule-based, we don't need a human in the loop, because it's a rule. So we can clearly use this for an automation. But if it's not rule-based, we need a human in the loop. Or if it's real advisory work, of course, we need a human in the loop as well. So yeah, this is basically the stuff I wanted to talk to you about. I think it's very interesting. I think you can spend a lot of money on marketing automation, and on like very tip of the iceberg things. They look nice, and people are selling you this stuff like crazy. But it very likely will not make you as much money compared to if you free up 2 people of their complete work. And then you have 2 people who could do something completely different, or who could do stuff which they never could do before, because they were busy doing automated teeny tiny blah blah, which should have been automated like years ago. But now we have the tools to do this. So yeah, that's the thing. If you want to talk about anything there, just let me know. I'm here, and we are very happy to help you. See you next time.